can't go there because my choice is someone with the values that I would want. I asked my precious Jeff here at the station, do you know an integrity-filled, honest car repair person? And he actually didn't. But those are my first qualities. And certainly it's that and more in someone that I'm going to put my confidence in and my trust in. So I simply can't participate in the folly that's happening. So I do want to say to you, today, many of you actually may be suffering from an odd kind of hangover where you feel sort of exhausted, not quite here, disoriented. Well, guess why? You actually have a hangover from hatred, opinion, judgment, and polarity. Quite frankly, inhaling a bottle of straight whiskey, although it would make your physical body feel hungover today, it actually may have been kinder for your soul. So here's the blog that I wrote this morning, and I called it An Outsider Looking In. Last evening, a hate-filled debacle termed a debate between two sorrowful, distortion-guided souls was offered to the American public for their viewing pleasure. Unfortunately, due to the marvels of technology and global communication, to the detriment of Americans, this torturous hate fest was shown or heard worldwide. I use the word unfortunately because I'm ashamed of us, and I'm ashamed for us as Americans. I'm ashamed and heartbroken that a world that so desperately needs to see this country that was, in a very distant past, devoted to truth, integrity, and peace. It's a world that needed to see this country step back and step up to a place of loving authority and integrity-filled leadership. Last night, we fell even further from that golden goal. Instead, once again, by design of very negative forces, we simply displayed to the entire world our sense of righteousness, tyranny, and haughtiness. Our allegiance collectively to separation and hatred, the very things that are tearing this country to shreds and robbing you and me of our divine allegiance to oneness and love. Perhaps, just perhaps, you are one of the misguided beings where mind control and spirit awareness has run amok. Thus, you would hang on every word, screaming and screeching for your, quote, personal favorite to win. Kind of like the days of the horrid Roman circuses. Perhaps you are so caught in the web, in the matrix of sick thinking, that you are no longer even aware of the dangerous path you are treading and in which you have been lured. Frankly, after the first 6 minutes with my stomach churning, I'd had enough last night. Enough of the snickering, the condescending glances, the contempt for one another that was palpable, the bickering, the pervasive ill will, which incidentally is a gross misuse of divine will, the hostility that wafted through the airwaves, and the hatred. The hatred that was so pervasive that I wondered how the population would actually feel today, if they have any feeling left. Even after a brief few minutes of attempting to watch these two tortured souls entrapped in their own personal Roman circus, where many of you were cheering them on or hissing hate-filled thoughts or words, my precious body felt anxiety-ridden, disoriented, and so very sorrowful. Oddly, my sense of sorrow is not for these two people. They have soul contracts that they are honoring. My sorrow is for you. You and all of the citizens of the world that are entrapped in various shades and degrees of all that was shown to you last evening. The contempt, the sense of condemnation, the ill will toward your brothers, sisters, neighbors, and those you've never even met, whom you hold judgment about. Your subtle hostilities and dislikes and resentments, your sense of entitlement and disdain toward all of your other selves, and your hatreds. Certainly, I am cognizant of the age of Kali, that age of confusion, chaos, and quarrels coming to a close, and I honor that, and appreciate that we're playing a large part in bringing it to a close as this hatred and anger bubbles up. I understand that. Thus, I practice non-attachment to your actions and behavior. I do, however, care about your inability to evolve due to your harmful, hate-filled, separatist beliefs. I care about it, yet I know it's not mine to change. It's yours to look at, to own, and change. And today, many of you will continue on some weird emotional rush of sorts with conversations as you huddle around the water cooler. My person won, says one of you. No, my person won, says the other one. Really, says me. Last night, they lost, you lost. You lost last night, and your country lost. Everyone lost. No one won. As you look at the words, I won, I want you to see how potentially destructive that is. Oneness, ONE-NESS, versus WON-NESS are two separate frequencies. If I win, we're separate. It's an extraordinarily separatist device that's been infiltrating your society for a long, long time. It's that competitiveness. I'm better than you. I have more money than you. And therein is the divisiveness. And therein is why the Golden Age actually is having challenges getting started. So to me, last evening was a sad, shame-filled event for you, for the citizens of this country and the citizens of the world. But this has become the norm, and what the world now almost expects of a once glorious, glorious country called USA. I often feel like an alien these days, a visitor from some distant star system that I like to think of as home now, because this discord is so overwhelming for me. The star system that I like to believe is aligned with me is a system where love, compassion, kindness, and oneness are the frequency of the land. So with a heavy heart, I can only trust that there are legions of aliens like myself that feel separate from what's gone on, that are clinging to oneness and kindness. I have to trust that that is the real truth, even in a very dark period. And a final thought, and this comes from one of the great masters. Quote, "As long as you remain in one extreme or another, you will never know oneness." End of quote. And if you never know oneness, you will not know the God within you. So those were my thoughts on a rather challenging night that I think did leave you, many of you, off kilter today. And I feel there's a way around it. If you want to go there, if you want to tune into that, I don't know why we're having such a difficult time on this planet releasing the hatred, unless it's just part of the conclusion of this age. But it's going to cause upheaval like you've never seen. Chaos, confusion will be the least of it. It's almost like an explosion of everything you've ever known. So I ask you to think twice about what you think you don't know, and be very, very righteous within yourself. Forget looking for somebody else's righteousness. They can only do what they're doing. The girl that rammed into my car could only do what she's doing. That's where she's at. And I hold the thought for her that she could rise above that for her sake, not for my sake. Not for my sake because I was culpable. I took my part in the responsibility and I'll see it through. But her spirit's culpable and I want to see her. I love her enough to know that she ain't going forward with that kind of behavior. And this is what happens time and again in all of our lives. It's the simple things, it's the small things that hurt you. There's another, more light, more happy thought, I think. Because it's not my job. You see, it's not my, all I am is a seed sower. You have to take the seed if you want it. If you don't want it, spit it out. Because it simply means it's not for you. And that's cool. Take what's for you and apply it. Here's a lovely thought. Once you start to look for good in people, you find it. If you don't look for it, you can't find it. Why don't you take a moment this afternoon and look at those two hurting and wounded souls that stood before you last night? I don't think any of us would want that commission. Quite frankly, I certainly wouldn't. So, in one sense, I can see the good in that for them. It took bravery for them to get where they are. Distorted bravery, probably in this. But one is very sick. Probably both are very sick, certainly in their spirit. So look carefully. Where's that echoing in your spirit? How can you condemn something outside yourself? It's kind of like take the plank out of your eye, kid. And then you'll see them with the eye of love. And you can tell from this, I'm sorrowed by both of them. I'm not endorsing either one. The other day I was going to the grocery store and there's a lovely gal standing out there with her clipboard and I'm thinking, oh boy, what's she going to clip me for? And she catches my eye and says, so have you registered to vote? And I said, nope, thank you, it's not for me. Oh, why? I said, well, quite frankly, the system is completely broken and I simply choose not to partake of it. And her comeback was, well, you could fix the system if you vote. And I just looked at her with great compassion. No, I